Okay. Okay. The first question is what is debugging? First question is what is debugging? What is debugging? Uh, Debugging is the process of executing the code line by line. This is the first point. What is debugging? Debugging, it is the process of executing the code line by line. Line by line. Okay. Okay. We know about the debugging. Debugging is it is the process of executing the code line by line. Okay, sir, what is the advantages of debugging? Advantages. Advantages. So advantages. The second point we should remember advantages. What are the advantages we have while going in the debugging? Advantages are first advantage is we can first advantage is we can execute the code line by line. That is the first advantage. We can execute the code. We can execute the code line by line, line by line. That is the first point. And second point, we can understand. We can understand the execution of code execution flow. We can understand. Second point, we can understand code execution flow. Code execution flow. That is the second point. Second point. Third point, third point, we can easily find out the issues. Third point, we can easily find out the issues. We can easily find out the issues. We can easily find out the issues. These are the advantages which comes under the debugging. Debugging. First one is the like what is debugging? Debugging is the process of executing the code line by line. Second one, okay sir. What are the advantages we have in the debugging? Debugging, the first advantage is we can execute the code line by line. Second advantage is we can understand the code execution flow. Execution flow. And third one is we can easily find out the issues. Third one is we can easily find out the issues. We can easily find out the issues. We should remember one point, that is the node point. That is the node point. Every programmer should know the debugging. Every programmer should know the debugging. That is the node point. Every programmer should know the debugging. Every programmer should know the debugging. Should know the debugging. Okay, sir. Then what are the steps? Is there any steps while doing the debug? Yes, we have the steps. I will how to debug. The heading is how to debug. I will tell 1 minute. I will expand my notepad. 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 I will expand. So next question is how to debug. Yeah, okay. Hmm. Exactly. Next question is how to debug. Next question is how to debug. Next question is how to debug. So here debug we can possible with the IDs only. We can IDs only. In the Notepad debug is not possible. If you want to debug, you must have use the IDs only. So we can, for the first thing is you should use the IDs only. You should use IDs only. You should use IDs. IDs meaning integrated development environment. And okay, how to do? We need to follow the steps, 3 steps. That is the step number one. Step number one. Step number one. The step number one I will categorize into 3 steps. Step number two and step number three. Step number three. The step number one. First step is the keep breakpoints. Keep breakpoints. That is the step number one. That is the step number one. Breakpoints are which will help to start and stop on the execution of controller. We'll see. We'll tell one more time that one. The second step, run program or project in the debug mode. Run program or project in debug mode. In debug mode. That is the second point. In debug mode. In debug mode or debug perspective. Perspective. That is the second point. That is the second step. How to debug? We have the 3 steps. First step, second step, and third step. First step is the keep the breakpoints. Keep the breakpoints. Second step is the run the program or project in the debug mode. Debug mode. Debug mode. And the third one, for debugging, for debugging, for debugging, we need to use shortcuts. We need to use debugging shortcuts. Debugging shortcuts. Debugging 30 minutes. For work. Hmm? 4K. For debugging, we need to use the debugging shortcuts. Okay, what are the shortcuts? What are the shortcuts we have? First shortcut is the G5. G5. G5 meaning not G5, F5 actually. First shortcut is F5. F5. F5 is the shortcut which will use to go the control inside the method. Go inside the method. Go inside the method. Go inside the method. And next one F6. F6 go to next line. Go to next line. And F7. F7 controller come out from the method. Come out from the method. Come out from the method. And F8. We have the F8 shortcut. F8 shortcut is the controller jump from one breakpoint to another breakpoint. Jump one breakpoint to another breakpoint. These are the shortcuts you should remember while doing the debugging. First one is the F5. F5 is the shortcut. Go inside the method. Go inside the method. And F6 is the shortcut for go to the next line. Go to the next line. F7 is the shortcut for controller come out from the method. Come out from the method. And the next thing F8. F8 is the method. F8 is the shortcut the controller jump from one breakpoint to another breakpoint, one breakpoint to another break. So these are the points you should remember while doing the debugger. While doing the debug, I will explain one more time. I will explain one more time. The first one, they will ask the question, what is debugging? What is debugging? Debugging is the process of executing the code line by line, line by line. So that is the first point. And what are the advantages we have in the debugging? What are the advantages we have in the debugging? We have the advantages like we can execute the code line by line. That is the first advantage. And the second advantage is we can understand the code execution flow. We can understand the code execution flow. And the third advantage is we can easily find out the issues. We can easily find out the issues. That is the third advantage. And note, note is the every programmer should know about the debugging. Every programmer should know about the debugging. If the person don't know debugging, then the person shouldn't able to understand the project code and all. So the every programmer should know the debugging. Every programmer should know about the debugging. Next, how to debug? How to debug? So the debug should be possible in the IDs only. IDs only. We need to follow the three steps. First step is the keep breakpoints. Second step is run the program or project in the debug mode. Debug mode. And third step is we need to follow the shortcuts, debugging shortcuts. What are the shortcuts we have? Four shortcuts. F5. F5 is the go inside the method. And next F6. F6 is the go to the next line. F7 is the come out from the method. Come out from the method. F8 jump controller from one breakpoint to another breakpoint. Okay, and one program to another I would say another breakpoint. So I will show you through the programmatic result. Then you know you will get the clarity about the debugging. Yeah, this is the program we have written. The okay, the first step while doing the debugging, the first step, keep the breakpoints. Keep the breakpoints. I'm keeping the breakpoints. Breakpoints are the like marking the points. Marking the points. With the help of breakpoints, we can stop the program and we can execute the program and all. So, for example, if I run this file, you can observe the output we will get like this 3500. Okay. Now, okay. The first point, keep the breakpoints. Keep the breakpoints. Breakpoints like will have the left side. Will have the strip is there. Like if you double click opposite the line wherever you want to debug. So opposite, you should double click. If you double click, the breakpoint will come. If you double click, the breakpoint will come. So I am keeping the one breakpoint here. In this line, I am keeping the one breakpoint. Okay. The next thing I would say, 1 second, I will give the numbers as well. General, editors, and text editors. If I open, show line numbers. Okay, apply and close. So now you can observe in the line number 11, I am keeping the breakpoints. Okay. So second step, run the program or project in the debug mode. Debug mode meaning if you observe the top right of the IDE, you can observe open perspective and Java EE, Java, and you can observe debug. We need to switch from Java to debug. Switch to Java to debug. Meaning now our IDE is in the debug perspective. Debug perspective. Okay. Okay. Second step also completed. Third step is we need to run the second step. Program or project should be in the I would say debug perspective, and we need to run the file. Run the file. debug as Java application. Java application. Run the file, run debug as Java application. Debug as Java application. Now, if you can observe at the 11th line, the program got executed or the program still waiting for for response from the program got not executed. The program not executed. But in previous case, when I'm running the file, the program got executed. Now the program waiting. So this is the constructor actually. I want to go inside the constructor. Inside the constructor. So what is the shortcut for going inside the method or constructor? F5. F5. Okay. We'll have the function key. Press the function key and F5. F5. You can observe shortcut, press the function key and F5. Then you can observe the my cursor, my controller will switch from 11th line to 5th line. 11th line to 5th line. 11th line to 5th line. Meaning every program execution started from main method only. This program execution is started from 11th method. This is the step number 1. Step number 2, it is going to 5th line. It is going to 5th line. Meaning this is the values we are giving the input. Now these name holding the search, ID holding the 500. ID holding the 500. This is the step number 2. Now step number 3. If I want to go next line, what is the shortcut? F6. Function F6. You can observe function F6. Function F6. So my controller from will jump to F5 to F7. Now I want to go the next line. F6. There you can observe. Like it will print the result. Where is my console? If you observe, when I am moving from line number 7 to 8, my print statement got executed. My print statement got executed. My print statement got executed. When I am moving my cursor to the name variable is holding the value search. You can observe. When I am holding hover, when I am hover on the ID is the variable. Variable is holding the value 500. 500. And when I am name is the variable is holding the search value. The name is the variable is holding the search value. In the same, any program, any file you can take. So if I press the F6, so you can observe the program got. So the controller. Okay. This is the one file. I will take another file and then I will show you the student class employee.java. Okay, employee.java also same. Okay. Control A, Control Shift F. Yeah. In this file, we have the two classes. One is the driver class. Another one is the college student. We don't know like where the values are coming and all. We don't know exactly. So through the debugging, we will find out how the debugging will work and all. So the first step, what is the first step for doing the debugging? First step is the keeping breakpoints. I am keeping the breakpoints at the object creation. Okay. Simply go the line and double click. Okay. Second step, we need to change the perspective. Okay, I am changing the perspective as well. Now the start step is run the file as the debug mode. run as Java application, run the Java application. And so previous case, my program, when I am running the Java file got executed, but now it is waiting. It is waiting. Okay, this is the one, I would say, this is the one object. I want to go inside the object. So if I press the control F, function F5, it will goes to that class. It will goes to that class. And if I press the F6, F6, it will goes to next line. And if you observe here, this is the driver method. Uh, if I want to go inside this one, this driver class, print data is the method. If I want to go inside the print data method, F6, and if I want to go inside the method, F5, you can observe the values and printing. If I want to, the program got terminated. The program got terminated. Now I will open one more time this one. Any program you can take. Any program you can take. For example, if I keep the breakpoints two breakpoints, if I want to come out from the method, then you will use the F7. If you want to jump one breakpoint to another breakpoint, then you should use the F8. These are the shortcuts. For example, here I am keeping some, I would say, some breakpoints. Here also I am keeping some breakpoints. Now I will start the program with debug mode. For example, run as debug mode, debug as Java application, debug as Java application. Now the cursor is at 11th line. I want to jump from here to here. We will use the F8. F8. If I use the F8, then you can observe the line is directly moved from one breakpoint to another breakpoint. One breakpoint to another break. This is the method. The cursor come out from the method. Then we will use the F7. You can observe. When I am pressing the shortcut, the cursor controller is coming out from the method. The controller is coming out from the method. Got the clarity how to do the debugging? Anyone have any confusion? Debugging. Debugging is a very important. I will revise one more time. First question, what is the debugging? Debugging. Debugging is the process of executing the code line by line. Executing the code line by line. Okay. Is there any advantages in the debugging? Yes, we have the advantages. What are the advantages we have? First one is the we can execute the code line by line. That is the first advantage. And what is the second advantage? We can understand the code execution flow. Execution flow meaning where the values are coming and where the values got printing. Where the values are coming from the program and where the values got printing. Where the values got printing. Printing. Where the values got printing. Okay. Next, we can easily find out the issues. We can easily find out the issues. We can easily find out the issues. And note, every programmer should know the debugging. Debugging. If you don't know, as a developer, if you don't know the debugging, we can't survive more time in the real-time scenarios. In the real time, we can't survive more time. We need to know how to debug. We need to know how to debug. Okay. How to debug? So the debug is possible with the IDs only. IDs meaning you should use any ID like Eclipse, IntelliJ, any ID you can use. With the help of IDs, it is debugging is possible. Okay. What are the steps we need to follow while debugging? Step number one, keep the breakpoints. That is the step number one. Step number two, run the program or project in the debug mode. Debug mode. Debug mode. And step number three, for debugging, we need to use the debug shortcuts. What are the shortcuts we have? What are the debugging shortcuts we have? First, F5. F5. F5 means controller will go inside the method. Controller will go inside the method. F6 is controller will go to the next line. Next line. For example, if you keep the two breakpoints, one line is at fifth line, one breakpoint at 13th line. If you want to like F6 is for we have the here we have the line number 6 and line number 5. The controller want to move from fifth line to sixth line, then we will use the F6. F6. If the controller come out from the method, for example, the controller inside the method, if you want to controller come out from the method, then we will use the F7. F7. If you want to move the controller from one breakpoint to another breakpoint, for example, the cursor is at line number 15, and here I would say we have the one breakpoint at line number 5 and another breakpoint at the line number 15. If you want to jump the cursor from line number 5 to line number 15, then we have the shortcut that is the F8. That is the F8. That is the F8. These are the shortcuts, and this is all about the debugging. Debugging. So while doing any program in the, you should analyze with the debugging. You should analyze with the debugging perspective. Debugging perspective. Anyone have any questions about the debugging? Debugging is a very important actually. Any questions? Anyone? Debugging. Anyone? Any questions? Any question? Any questions?